Hello and welcome back to another cello warm-up. Today we are going to be looking at a grade 2 to 3 cello warm-up. So if you've done your grade 2 exam and you're now working towards your grade 3, this warm-up will take you through some of the really important technical skills that you'll need for your grade 3 exam and just be a really good way to start off all of your practice sessions. As usual, we're going to start off with our physical warm-up to get our hands, fingers and arms and things warmed up nicely first, so I'll cut to that now. So firstly, we're going to stretch our arms really high as we can above our heads, and really stretch them for a couple of seconds, and then we are going to drop them as heavily as we can down next to our sides like this. And this is going to be quite important later, so we're going to do this a couple of times. So stretch, up, and drop. Now we're going to warm up our hands, so if you hold them out in front of you like this, what I would like you to do is stretch your fingers as far apart from each other as you can, like this. Really stretch them and then bring them back together like this. And do this a few times. Really stretch them. Stretch them as far as you can and back together. And our final step, we're going to warm up our fingers. So what we're going to do here is bend our fingers and thumbs and just stretch them a few times like this. And this is really good for making sure that we've got good flexibility. So now we're sat comfortably back with our cello, we're going to tackle number 1. So you can see on your sheet, on the music next to where I am, I'm going to put it in somewhere, we've got exercise 1, so the first line, and we're just going to do some long crotchets. And what we're going to try and do is use our fingers on the bow like a kind of paintbrush. Can you see what I'm doing? I've got squidgy fingers like this, and that helps us have a really nice smooth bow change. So have a listen. Whenever I change the bow. So see if you can give that a try. You might want to pause the video and just hold the bow with the other hand and give that a go. And then we're going to do this together. So they're all crotchets. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and smoothly like that. One more time, let's try it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. Next we're going to look at number 2, and as you can see this is exactly the same exercise, we're just going to do it with quavers instead. So again with our paintbrush fingers, which slightly faster this time, so use slightly less bow, but still try and change bows nice and smoothly. 1, 2, off we go. Well done, nice and smooth. Let's try that one more time. On the A string, ready to go. 1, 2, off we go. Excellent. So next we're going on to number 3, and this is semi-quaver. So even less bow, but still our squidgy paintbrush fingers. Ready? On the A string first of all, and there's going to be semi-quaver, semi-quaver. So quite quick. 1, 2, off we go. As you can hear, it's actually really difficult to make it smooth, especially on the fatter string, so you want to make sure that you've got a nice heavy arm, and that will help you be able to change bow nice and smoothly. Let's do that one more time together. 1, 2, off we go. Fab. Now we're going to add some fingers in. So if we get our first finger, and you might remember this from our grade 1 to 2 warm-up, we introduced our 1 stretch 2 4 shape. hopefully that's kind of not unusual for you now. So 1, stretch 2, 4. Remember that 2 goes where our third finger would normally go, and then our 4 is half a step further along than it would normally be as well. So it's a stretched first position, and it's going to sound like this. Okay, so find your first finger. We're on the G string, so first finger G is an A. Ready? Together, let's try it. 1, 2, off we go. Great, and that just warms up that hand shape that you need. Next, we are going to try the same thing, but we're doing it half a step backwards, and we're going to start on E flat on the D string. So this is actually our normal first position, so our 2 and our 4 are in the same place as they normally are, but our first finger is stretched back a bit, okay? So let's try it. It goes like this. So that's E flat, F, G, F, E flat. Let's try that together now. 1, 2, off we go. One more time. 1, 2, off we go. Really, really good. So next we're on line 6, and this time we've got a glissando exercise. So that's where we use our finger to slide up and down the cello like this, and we're going to go from a B to an E, which is our first finger in 4th position. So you might have a sticker there, but it's where your thumb rests in that little notch at the bottom of the neck there. So we slide our thumb down to there, and our finger is opposite, and it should sound the same but higher as your first finger on D, so it's an E. You hear how that's the same note. So we're on the A string, we're going to go from a first finger on a B. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go B and slide all the way. Okay, nice and steadily. So don't clamp your finger and thumb too tightly. We want a nice heavy finger pushing the string all the way down, but we don't want to squeeze with our thumb from the back. And then back down. So turn into an up bow to come back down the other way. So let's try that together. Ready? 1, 2, off we go. Now the slide is really important here, but also what's really important is the smooth bow changes as well. So get those paintbrush fingers involved again. You can also repeat this on the D, G and C strings. So if you just hop over to a D, D1, G, and C. And that'll help you practice your slow bows and sliding as well. Okay, right, we're nearly at the end now. So next we're going to look at our bowing exercise, which is if you're doing Trinity exam board, this will be part of your exam, and the rest of the exercises on this page will be as well. So these are really, really helpful things to practice at the beginning of every single time you practice, because you'll have to do them in the exam. So this is just a G major scale, so we're going all the way from an open G to a 4th finger G in 4th position. So that means we have to go 0, 1, 3, 4 on the G string, and then on the D string, 0, 1, 3, 4 again. So we're climbing up through the fingers, and hopefully you've learned this already by this point with your teacher. So we've got semiquavers on each note. So we're spending 4 semiquavers, so 1 whole crotchet's worth on each one. Now we've got to the end of the first line of this exercise, so you can see there we've got to a 4th finger on D. Next, to do the second octave of this scale, we do A, 1, 2, 4, 1 in 4th position, 3, 4. And then you can see on your page it says to come all the way back down. So we're going to go all the way from a G to another G at the top, and then all the way back down to our open G string again. So let's try that, shall we? You might want to pause and have a bit of a practice before we try it together, but we'll go nice and slowly. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you want to have a good few goes at this and make sure that you're using your paintbrush fingers for smooth bow changes, and that you've got a nice heavy right arm and shoulder to make sure that you're getting a really nice, clear, strong sound out. Second to last, we have a chromatic exercise, and chromatic basically just means notes that are right next door to each other, so with only half a step. So the distance between each of your fingers in first position is half a step there. Now, the only difference here is that you can see we've got an E flat and a stretch back 1 on the 3rd note. So that means we're going to start on our G on a 4, D, stretch back 1, move to a normal 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can hear those notes are all really close to each other, aren't they, in pitch? So it takes some getting used to hearing those notes, but this is a really good exercise for your ear training. So let's just have a go at that together. So nice and slowly, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Well done. Let's try that one more time together, and remember to move that first finger half a step. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great, well done. You might want to practice that a bit slower if you haven't got used to it yet. So remember 4, D, stretch back 1, normal 1, 2, 3, 4. And as always, remember to keep all of the fingers before the new one down. So if you're adding your 4th finger, all of those ones need to be down as well. Now we've got to the last exercise, number 9, and these are called double stops, so where you play 2 notes at once, and you'll have been doing these all the way since grade 1, but this time we are including a slur. So we're going to start on our G string, and we're going to go G, D, in a slur. Can you see how I move my elbow and my hand to get to the D string there? And then we're going to play both together like that. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's the first bar. So just have a quick practice of that with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the next bar is a little bit more complicated. We're adding our first finger and we're slurring from a G to a D1, and then we're doing both the G and the D1 together. So it's exactly the same bow pattern. We're still going from the G string to the D string and then both together. We're just adding our first finger this time. So there's your first finger note. Find that for me. And this time we're going to do it with our first finger. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. raise the pitch on the top note by 1. So up until that point it should sound like this. Great, and then the next bar we go straight to a 4th finger, so skipping out 2 and 3. Now these 2 notes are both G's. So we need to make sure that they're the right pitch, the top one, with our finger. Okay, so if it's a little bit too far down the cello, it sounds really horrible, and if it's a little bit too far up, it's wrong as well. Okay, so you've got to make sure that it's exactly the same. You hear how if you move your finger slightly, you can change it. Okay, so we're going to go from our 1st finger to our 4th finger. And you might need to practice that a few times to make sure that you can get it in the right place. Okay, and then the last 2 bars we do exactly what we've already done, but the other way around. So we come back down to a 1 and do the 1, and then we come back down to a 0 and do the open strings. So let's see if we can have a go at playing this whole exercise all the way through. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. First finger. 4th finger. Really, really good. Well done. So, one more thing to note. Use your paintbrush fingers again, but you also have to change the angle of your hand slightly to be able to play 2 strings at once. So here's my arm on D, that's just on the D string, and here it is on G, and here it is on both. Now can you see I didn't really move my elbow there, I just kind of moved my hand a bit and I pushed the bow down with my 1st finger onto the D string. So you might want to practice doing that a few times too. Let's try that exercise one more time all the way through before we finish. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see on your page, it says repeat starting on open D and C strings. Now that's part of the exam too. They will ask you to do this exercise and you'll have to do it starting on G, starting on D, so that's going to be then a 1, and then a 4. Exactly the same finger pattern and bow, it's just starting on the D string and going to the A string, and then on the C as well. Heavier arm for the C string to make sure that you get that out nice and clearly. Well done, thank you for joining me, and I hope that this was helpful.